It's Hater Sensei Grandmaster Chosen One Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Shout out to my channel sponsors, Relkspit, makers of fine massage guns. Links and discount code in the description below. And X Marshall, formerly known as NoGiBJJGear.com. Why did they change the name? Well, to expand what they sell to you besides just Nogi BJJ gear, which they still sell, and it's great. They've got training equipment for other combat sports too, boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, Muay Thai, etc. And they got great t-shirts like this one. It says Kimura. It's a play on words of Kimura. Look, kitty cats. Kitty cat's having a jiu-jitsu fight. Look, he's got him in a Kimura. Oh, my 6-year-old thinks this is adorable.
Daddy,
anyway,
I'm 5!
On with the question. Our friend Barry says, Ramsey, could you do a video explaining how to properly warm up for a fight on both the physical and mental side? I don't want to get exhausted before the fight, but I also want to feel properly loosened up. I love your channel, by the way. All right, Barry, there are many nuances and variables in that question, as there are in many, many questions. But the way you warm up is going to be specific to you, but there are 2 things I would recommend that are really important for a warm-up before a fight. And that is get your body in the right place and get your mind in the right place. One thing I would recommend is if you have a warm-up routine at the gym that you do before your classes, before your sparring, that you are familiar with, do that. Do some variation of that. If you have the limitation in space, which you often do, you don't always have mats or a big wide open area, but do as much of your normal warm-up as is feasible within the warm-up space you're given. And the reason I recommend that is because these familiar movements are not just good for warming up your body, they're good for getting your mind right. Because before the fight, you're going to be filled with nerves and performance anxiety, and you're going to be worried about this imaginary construct, this monster you're going to go out there and face that's going to tear you limb from limb, and you're going to be terrified. So if you can put yourself in a comfortable place, in a safe place in your mind, such as the gym, where you train with people that you trust, with movements that you trust. These movements warm me up in the gym so that I don't get hurt, so that I can train today without getting injury, so I can come back and do it again tomorrow. That sends a very similar message to your body. Your body and your mind are strongly connected. We have to take advantage of that. So I could give you a bunch of moves, rotate your joints, get the blood flowing, do a couple of simple drills. Don't exhaust yourself, but go back to what you are familiar with. Go back to your home base. Go back to something that puts your mind in the right place, that helps you calm down and feel like, okay, this isn't really anything new. Man, there was what was that called? This old basketball movie. I think Gene Hackman was in it. But there's this team, this ragtag team of poor kids who they're basketball players, and they go on to the state championships, and they're the underdogs, and they're not used to competing at big venues, and they go out to see the venue before the big game, and it's this big stadium with tens of thousands of seats, and everybody's nervous, like, whoa, this is a big game. This isn't like back home. This is different. We're used to playing in the school gym. It's tiny. And the coach takes out a tape measure, and he tells his athletes, hey, measure the distance between the free throw line and the hoop, and they do. And he's like, well, what's the measurement there? Measure the height from the floor to the rim, measure this, measure that. And he says, what's the difference between these measurements and our home gym back at the high school? To which they say, there's no difference, they're the same. And then the coach says, I don't remember the exact line, but yeah, you get the lesson. It's the same exact game. It's the same exact game that we play in the home gym. The only difference is you got a bunch of people staring now. So what? Play the same game and you'll be fine. And it's a great lesson, one of the best lessons on coaching that we see in movies. A lot of times movies get really, really fictitious when it comes to what helps in sports and performance and things like that. But this one got it right, and I'm kicking myself because I can't even remember the name of the movie. But the principle is the same in combat sports. Understand that it's the same thing. It's the same thing that you're doing back at the gym. And your warm-up can let your body know that, because your heart's probably pounding because your body doesn't realize it yet. Your heart is, you're filled with adrenaline and nerves because your body hasn't yet understood. It's the same thing we do in the gym. Just different. It's in a different place at a different time. Sure, there's a different intensity, the stakes are different, etc., but essentially it's the same thing. So your warm-up should allow you to solidify that connection between your mind and your body. Good luck to you, my friend. One more thing, I actually put out a short video on my Instagram a while back. It's about 30 seconds long, where I asked all of you to exercise your critical thinking skills a little bit, so you're not spoon-fed by every internet guru on combat sports, including myself, because if you have to ask for every little detail, you're missing a lot. You're missing out on personal development. So I asked you to imagine a scenario. You have a fight. It's 10 minutes before go time. You have 10 minutes to warm up. What do? Go. Do that thought experiment right now. If you want to type it out in the comments, that's okay. But I'm going to assume you have enough room. You have a couple of meters to move around in. Probably not a lot. And that's okay, that's good, because you probably won't have a lot of room to move around in at a fight venue, especially a small one. You kind of have to wait for the big locker room with the mats and the pads and all the fancy warm-up equipment until you make it to the big show. Man, my first warm-up area when I started fighting pro was this flooded basement filled with stuff. There was barely any room to move around in, especially without getting your feet wet. Like, it was seriously flooded. And yeah, one of the worst places ever for fighters to try to warm up. But we got creative, we did it, we fought, the fights happened, and yeah, we got by somehow. So regardless of how much space you have, take that thought experiment. 10 minutes to warm up. What are you going to do? Do it. Right now, wherever you are, do it. And then afterward, let me know what you did in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Now get out there and train.